Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly men's volleyball press conference. We will start the press conference with an opening statement from head coach Alan Knipe, and then we'll open it up to questions for coach from the media.
Yeah, well, here we go. It doesn't seem that long ago that we were just talking about getting into the Big West in the conference and schedule and getting used to the back-to-backs, and here we are in the last weekend of the regular season, and I think the guys are excited. I think that the last couple of weeks have been really, really good for us training wise, and we're excited about getting to the gym and trying to squeeze out a little bit more. I think that there's still a lot for this team, and that's an exciting thing as the season goes along. But I think that what we've been able to do offensively and what we've been able to do with some guys individually, and then what we've been able to do with getting some different pieces on the court and different guys in serving. I think we're only getting better right now, and I'm excited to get in the gym and see if we can continue that and have a better this Friday night than we did last Friday night.
Clark Godbold with 32 kills on the Friday night game. That's the most in over a decade. When we talk about media coverage on this team, you think of Simon Torrey first, or maybe Aiden, or maybe Mason, or maybe Spencer, and then, of course, Sotos. But what has Clark Godbold really been doing offensively? We've talked about his blocking before, but What has he been to this team offensively this year?
Well, Clark's been a huge part of our team, not just this year, the last couple of years, and it's because of his flexibility to be able to hit on the left or the right or back row, on the D, out of the BIC. There's really nothing he can't do. System-wise, we've tried so hard to be so balanced, and at times that limits maybe some extra sets to Clark. But it's been a while since we just kind of rode someone like that, and especially it was a big part of what we were last year, right? And it hasn't been a big part of what we've been doing this year. But it was sure nice that he was feeling it so well, and him and Aiden were in such a good rhythm that we were able to ride that, and it's always great. Meaning it's not, as a coach, it's not necessarily by design. But individually as a player, it's always great to have those kind of matches, right? That, I can take over the match, and whether it's, in basketball, you think about a guy he's just feeling it and he's carrying the load offensively and has a big night, or it's no different in volleyball. And it's not maybe by design, but it's certainly great as a player to feel like I'm in one of those nights that everything feels great and I can carry the load offensively in the front row and the back row. And so he was having one of those nights, but it's not surprising to me that he played so well, regardless of the numbers, because of what he's been doing in our gym. He's been great the last couple of weeks, and there's so many things that he's been working on. He's an incredibly bright kid, and so he doesn't come in and come into practice randomly of what he wants to work on. So he had a great list, and he's been expanding his range and expanding, the speed of the tempo of the sets that we've been setting, and what he's looking for in trans. And it was a match where everything kind of was coming together in his training, and he was feeling it in the match. And Aiden kept feeding him, and then he got a record, which we're never out looking for records. But I know deep down it's always fun to get in the record book in this program, and I'm sure it's exciting for him.
Well, speaking of records and speaking of Aiden Knipe, he got his 2,000th career assist over the weekend as well. You look ahead, and he's halfway to a couple of setters that have been in recent program history hitting the 4,000 assist plateau. Josh Tuoningo, Connor Albright.
Yep.
For you as a coach, it's not a big school where you'll say, we have a really big a setter as one of the coaches on the squad, but you have great setters in your recent history. What has been kind of the philosophy that has brought these numbers?
Well, we really have looked for in our setters over the last many years, and is that the number one thing is to be able to run our offense. The number one thing is to be able to put the team offense in front of any individual stat, and to not be concerned with anything other than how the team's siding out and the overall team hitting percentage. So I don't think any of the setters that are on that list will tell you much about their assist records. But since there's not a lot of metrics that you can use to gauge how setters are doing, that tends to be the big one that the media uses. And so it's great. I'm sure for like anybody that you want to be in that list of of people that have played in front of you in this program that by your position that have done great things. And that list is littered with great setters. So I know it matters to him, not as much the number of assists, but to be to be put in a list with some of those great setters, and when you look at it, Aiden's first year of setting for us was a COVID reduced season of 10 matches or something. So that means he's had a lot of balls and done a lot of great things in a short period of time, and I'm proud of him and where he's going. And he's not close to where his ceiling is, but he's certainly at a point right now he's feeling pretty good. So like everything when it comes to individual awards, I think Aiden will tell you exactly what I would tell you on this. It means that he's had a lot of really good passing and a lot of really good hitters to set.
And speaking of ceiling, when you talk about coming to the end of the season, every coach will say you want to have the best play from your team at the end of the season. And we are now at the end of the season. Yep. Do you think your team is where they should be?
Certainly. I love where we are right now not just the today as far as what we've been able to do week by week. And, for me, I believe really in the saying that, at the end of this thing, whatever the last day of the season is for us, hopefully very, very late, our philosophy as a program is that we're going to get timed out. There's no point we get to, we feel like, all right, we've hit this magical serve receive number or offensive number or block and defense number or how it feels. We're literally going to hit a point where the calendar says you are what you are. And, so we're going to get timed out. And what that means is that we got to make the most of every day in practice and every video session, our downtime, our recovery, to make sure that we make the most of it. Because when you go into that last season, that last series, whatever your last game is, you don't ever want to feel like, you don't ever feel like we've kind of made it, right? We're as good as we can be. But you want to make sure you're playing the best you possibly play in that moment. And leading up to wherever that last weekend is, feeling that there's still time, so there's still room for improvement. And when you have something special with a team, that's not something that you just say and they're just words, but it's something that your team truly believes. So there's a balance to all this. And for us, I know that we want the guys to realize how well they're doing in certain areas, but we want them to stay really, really hungry, that all the way up till the practice, whatever ends up being our last practice of the year, there's still room for improvement, because that's just the way the game is and that's the way this program approaches things. But when we say all those things, we're not discrediting the fact of the guys are doing some really, really good things. It's actually the flip side of that. It's the credit to their talent and their work ethic that feels that there's still a lot of meat on the bone.
And then it's UC Irvine this weekend. You're actually going to be playing in a place that you'll be playing next weekend as well, the Big West Tournament. So in a way, it's how much are you looking at being at UC Irvine this weekend? Kind of like looking at, well, this is how this court will play in a week after that. Well,
yeah, very, very little. I'm sure there's some, like, obviously we're a team that likes to schedule wherever the Final Four is on our schedule, because that's what, you're trying to plan for the end in mind. But really, we can't get wrapped up too much in that. We're going to play there this weekend. That will benefit, hopefully, us the following week, which is the Big West Tournament. But right now, the most important thing is not to get caught up in a lot of the noise. One of our big resets every week is avoiding the noise. The noise is a great thing. The media, the excitement, our fans being excited, season ticket holders, the other opponents' fans excited about a big matchup, whatever it might be throughout the course of a year, that's noise. You want there to be noise. You don't want there to be just people apathetic about your team or your season. However, those moments are for everybody but the team. The team needs to be able to avoid the noise and understand it's out there. And it's always going to be out there. However, stay focused on what we can control. And our control is there's some areas of our game from the weekend, even though we won, that we'd like to be better at. There's some things the last couple of weeks have been very good. We want to water those green spots. And we want to build, as we say, we want to build the beast and build this LB grid of 23. That's all that matters. Not last year's team, next year's team, or whatever right now. And that's, all season long, you talk about these things to hopefully get everybody on the same page, and where it's a true intent of how they feel, not just the coach preaching to them. And I think we're in a really nice spot with that right now. So I'm excited to get down there with them today and get set up for the week and hear their individual thoughts on individual goals and collectively put them together on team goals and see if we can accomplish those goals by Friday night.
And I do want to end on a positive spotlight. I forgot to mention him earlier, but I feel like we haven't talked about him enough. Connor Bloom had a really big impact on Friday from the service line. It just seems like from last year to this year, physically, he's even better. And can you talk about his maturation as a player and everything that has led to something like on Friday where he kind of saved the team in a way?
Absolutely. No, he was a big part of Friday night's match and an enormous part of the fifth set. But once again, we're not a program that just takes a chance in a match on something just to, hey, we don't know, it might work. We're a program that gives guys opportunities on what goes on that week and the last couple of weeks in practice. And Connor's been a handful for our passers and handful for our block and defense. And he's only getting better. He's worked incredibly hard. He's an incredibly hardworking kid, but he's an incredibly physical kid, works really hard in the weight room, takes his every opportunity he gets in practice really serious. And the best part about him as a volleyball player is his high degree of repeatability. And that makes a great for a serving sub, right? So what he's been doing in matches is not necessarily surprising for what he's been doing in our practices. So that's great for our team. Not only that we get Connor to do that in matches, but what that says to the group of the work that you put in during the week is what's going to get rewarded in playing time come the matches. And he's a perfect example of that. So yeah, as a coach, you're really excited when guys put in the work and then they get the results.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.